We have to stop throwing and keep the aisles clear. Don't be greedy. No, yeah. Come on, dude. Oh, if you get a red, I got that. Right now on stage. Special guest Jeff all weekend. We'll also have some posters. Oh yeah. After the writers Q&A, we got posters. Both Jedi and Smith, and the writers will be doing a signing right after. What? That is a good side. Who's not sticking up for Q&A? Why come we right here? Alright, Michael's gonna. Alright, guys. Thanks for sticking around. We're gonna have some posters in a minute. First, we're gonna talk to the writers. We have here, my name's Rob Chesney. I'll write part of the game. And I'm also here to the movie. We have all right here, senior writer, Jedi Knight, he is the man. And Jessica Wojcicki, am I pronouncing right? I'm always worried about that. Jessica writes like a lot of the stuff like you do as a group, so a lot of the work craft. Some of the flashpoints? Oh. Some of the flashpoints? All work. That's all. Okay, all wrote all the games. And not all a little bit on the side.
All did write for L5, so if you played it and liked it or didn't, you know what you're talking about.
That's right. And lastly, Neil Polliner down there, definitely not least, Neil wrote the Sith Warrior. If you are a fan of the Sith, Neil's your guy. He's the most evil man I know. That is also not true. So, alright, man, are you gonna...
If you guys want to ask a question, I'm down here in the bottom corner, head over here, and we can chat.
Alright. Meanwhile, I would also like to point out that Mr. Chesney here is a fellow writer who I had the pleasure of working with on the Jedi Knight. He also wrote the Threat of Peace webcomic, which has been published by Dark Horse. Thank you.
Alright, buddy.
Okay. Okay, no worries.
Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for answering some questions. How much freedom did you guys have on the script, and how much were you constrained to do a guideline?
We had tremendous freedom to write this story. Really, as long as we were close, as long as we maintained the tone and the spirit of Star Wars, we could pretty much do whatever we wanted. And we had tremendous support from Daniel Larison, lead writer, James Dolan, our creative director, but also from LucasArts. They're incredibly generous at letting us play in their sandbox, and we had a blast. That definitely has, I think we had tremendous creative freedom.
Oh no, absolutely. We came on really early in the process, and Daniel said, come up with ideas. We saw that, and a lot of them were just go for it, and all that. Daniel had nothing to do with it.
No, we get a lot of personal freedom to put our own personal touch on whatever you're writing, and it's really great. Just like Paul said, we get a lot of really good freedom. We're very grateful and proud of that.
Got another one down here for you.
What are some of the challenges with writing a story for this game so that it's still an interesting story and immersive as opposed to like a
Writing for Endgame. You guys hear the question?
We did hear the question. The question was, how do we write for the end game so that it doesn't just become a loot grind? And the reality is, we write for the end game the same way we write for the rest of the game, which is, it's big, it's
epic. There's huge things going on. The war is always massive in scale, and everything is life and death, and both the Republic and the Empire are always teetering on the brink of victory or defeat. So, the stakes are huge. So it's never a loop run. There's always story. There's always something cool going on.
Alright, I got another one for you. You're good? You good?
Alright, when's the game coming out?
It's a real question after that.
Well, no, Daniel's gone. We can tell him now, right?
The game will be out in 2011.
Do you guys have any NPCs named for based off you guys? I actually got asked this question earlier today, and I can't prove that people named NPCs after me, and I can't get them to admit it, but I think there might be somewhere. I can also verify that I may have named a couple of NPCs after my family members, but don't tell them I did that. Every name I created got changed by somebody else.
I was talking with Daniel yesterday, and he talked about how to tell through the Hope trailer, he had some all thought that it kind of wasn't her because in a piece comment, she had red hair and stuff like that. Can you go through and talk about, how you guys came about with the retcon to tell what supposed to originally be a different person in the Hope trailer or what?
The question was, Cecile, who you may have seen in the Hope trailer here with the double-bladed lightsaber kicking Darth Malcolm's back. She was originally in the Thread Piece webcomic, and she looks a little different. She has long red hair, and it looks like a totally different character. So the reason that happened is because we started on a Thread Piece webcomic about, 2 years ago now, it seems like. So at that time, we actually hadn't even drawn the characters in the game. So the comic artist had the liberty to really draw all the characters the way he wanted to draw them. We gave him a little feedback, but we only had so much control over that. I mean, Dark Horse was driving that part of the webcomic. And we liked the way they looked, don't get me wrong, but, once we got into the game, we had to consider a whole bunch of other things, like, what outfits do we have in the game? What are the different hairstyles we're going to have in the game? And, and also what's going to look good on this character. And as we were developing that CG trailer for Hope, we decided to make that character Cecile. At one point it was, who is this girl? But then it's a story about that became Cecile. And so that is Cecile now. She looks different in Thread Piece, but the story is still intact, I think you'll also find a couple of the other characters in Thread Piece are going to look a little different when you get into the game. But the story's still there. One thing is, I guess she's a little younger in the Hope trailer and that takes place not too many years before Thread Piece. But by the time, right around, I guess the time of the 3D course, and she's about to become a Jedi Master. So,
Okay, so that's the real world answer. Do you want to hear the unofficial answer? Here's the story answer, which is Master Cecile, bit of a fashionista. She kind of likes to experiment with different looks, she changes up the hairstyle, just different makeup, clothes, stuff like that. So yeah, that's what's going on.
Daddy gets in.
Alright, just a reminder, if you want to ask questions, I'm over here in the corner, head over here and I'll take your questions.
I got a question for you guys. I got a question. Okay, in fact, you can answer.
I have one if you're
So, we talked about the Emperor, the Lord of the Sith, but no one knows anything about him. No one's seen him. We've seen Darth Malgus. What's up with the Emperor? What role does he play in the game?
Oh, that's a good question.
Hold on. Good question. Daniel says I can't answer. You can answer that question.
What is up with the Emperor? No one knows. This is the reality of the Sith Empire, is that, it's not a democracy, right? This is a dictatorship, right? It's from the top down, and if the Emperor doesn't want you to know something, you're not going to know. You're not going to find out. So, and the Empire runs on secrets. People within the Empire are always keeping secrets from each other. That's how you preserve power, right? You preserve your power by controlling knowledge and information. So the Emperor is a very mysterious figure, and some people say, "Oh, I'm going to go out and have a meeting with the Emperor." maybe that's true, maybe it's not. How much cachet does it have to be able to say, yeah, I'm going to go meet with the Emperor? And who's going to call you on that? It's like, no, I have an appointment with the Emperor. Nobody's going to say that, right? So, the Empire is a very mysterious place, and but I can guarantee that when you do meet the Emperor, it'll be nice. Well said. I got one. Yeah, I got one.
Shooting kind of broad, but how do you adjust the pace of the storytelling when moving from a traditional RPG to an MMO?
How do you adjust the pace of the storytelling moving from a traditional RPG to an MMO? So, the idea here is, the pacing is more or less the same. I mean, there are always pacing issues whenever you're writing an interactive narrative. Whenever you're writing something where the player has control over the pacing and the player decides where they're going to go next and what they're going to do next, that's always an issue. And so the way that we control it is we just try to make our dialogue as punchy as possible, as directed to the point. Our template when we're writing dialogue is always the movie. And if you look at the Star Wars movies, they don't spend a whole lot of time sitting around explaining things. They just get out there and do stuff.
Depends on which one you're talking about.
Depends on which one you're talking about. Okay, fair enough. I'm a big fan of the original trilogy.
There you go!
So that's my template. My template is a very short argument about whether or not Princess Leia is rich and whether or not that would impact why Han Solo would go. And then they go. So that's how we kind of approach that sort of storytelling. And then we just always make sure that wherever the players are in the story, that they are that everything that is going on within that location in the story, or within that location in the game world, reinforces the stories that we're telling. So all the stories add up together. They all become part of a greater tapestry. So you always feel like you're telling a big epic story, whether you're going through your personal class plot or if you're teamed up with your buddies and going on some crazy mission to raid, the Imperial Fortress on Taral 5.
I would say, in addition to what Hall just discussed, one of the great pleasures of switching from between the single RPG to the MMO is the group dialogue, which if you were watching or got to play the 12 by Flashpoint, you got a taste of in that opening conversation. We now get the ability in the MMO, which you don't usually have in other games, to have all the characters getting to respond in different ways, all of them participating in conversation, all these players, different points of view, getting to come into play, and that is really exciting and something that's really great to do in an MMO that you don't usually get to do. So.
I'll add one more thing. Just like in the original trilogy, where you have, the backdrop story going on throughout is the war between the rebels and the Empire, and it's the same way in our game. You got the war going on between the Republic and the Empire. In this case, it's a lot different, 3,000 years earlier, but that's the overall story, and then every character is going to have their own stories and backgrounds. Remember in the beginning of the Empire, when Han was explaining why he decided to leave, stop helping the Republic, he's like, well, that bounty hunter back on Orville Mantel changed my mind. Well, in this game, you're going to get to play through that part of the story. Those sort of things that were happening in the background, on the side, and then also get to play through the big moments where they end up on the Death Star, where they blow up the Death Star, all the stuff they do, and all these stories kind of weave together. I think there's a big overall story that's happening, and then everyone's story takes place within that and contributes to that, both on the Republic and Imperial side. That makes sense.
All right, one more. Sorry, I don't mean one more.